Hey, welcome. I'm doing a live here because Denise is out getting her hair done. Hopefully the lighting's all right here. Denise is out getting her hair done. I just got a haircut. Hopefully it looks nice. And I'm charging the car. I just did my errands, so I've got a few minutes here. And if you're joining because you saw the title or anything that's in the title that kind of catches your eye, we have a lot to talk about. And I could oversimplify here and say, well, hey, this is a talk about Trump getting elected to the White House, but really it's not. I think it's a shift in the way that things are going to be done in this country. And of course, politics is not truth. I want to start out with that right away. This is not a political video because I absolutely believe that there's no truth in politics. Politics is about winning elections. Okay, so the way things work out, in the balance of, at least in the United States, Democrat, Republican, then things start to shift in the way the country is run. And that's what we're seeing. That's what I want to comment on. That's what this video is about all the things and how they're interrelated, interconnected, and all the big changes I think that we're about to see at this point in time in the United States. This is more of a directly affecting United States. I mean, I'm putting this out on my Digital Nomad channel because I was thinking, well, I could record this. I could pre-record this video and I can get it out to multiple channels. And I don't think it's appropriate because I got a traditional real estate channel, Mike Young Real Estate, which is really very traditional. I'd say I try to do some leading edge stuff, but for the most part, the real estate industry hasn't changed all that much except to become unaffordable. And that's kind of the tie-in here is the unaffordability of real estate and what's happened here in the United States, in the world, but especially the United States, and how we might learn some lessons from the rest of the world and how they've handled real estate becoming unaffordable. And then I've got, of course, our nonprofit channel. And here's our, right here, box of pineapples right here, not from the United States, because you really can't grow any pineapples in the continental United States. It just doesn't make any financial sense. Something like that, I think we should outsource. We're going to talk about outsourcing in this video and how it relates to more manufactured goods, things that source from China, and pineapples are not one of them. Actually, foods in general. When I say foods, I mean things your body actually recognizes as foods. I mean like whole foods, okay? So then I thought, well, I could put this on the Tesla High Mileage Club channel, and I'm in my high mileage Tesla right now. I have almost 300,000 miles on this car, original battery pack, original motor, original brakes, original windshield. Check us out there at TeslaHighMileageClub.com, but this is also not really that much related to a high mileage Tesla. Although I do believe Teslas are the future. I've done videos that I kind of touch on some of these economic principles in the very far past, like almost 10 years ago at this point in time. It seems like a lifetime ago. And a lot of the concepts I'm going to bring up here today I have discussed over the years, and maybe even as much as 10 years ago, such as the bankruptcy of legacy automakers, looming bankruptcy, and it's been looming for decades if you ask me. All right, so if you're out there, say hi, by the way. Say where you are, where you're watching from. All right, let's start with the tariffs. Okay, that's what I think a lot of the economic changes over the last week have happened because of the recognition that Trump is going to have tariffs. Kind of goes along with his name. Nationalism, protectionism. People are like, what's going to happen when you get rid of the tariffs? What if they never go away? I mean, I remember, tariffs are generally, they definitely work in terms of protecting U.S. industries because of some things that are outside of our control, basically. Don't just think because somebody else can do it, we shouldn't tariff it. I mean, you hear all kinds of talk, even about electric cars, about people say you use slave labor to source your raw materials. And a lot that goes on outside of the U.S. we can't control. Even if somebody says they're not doing that, they still might. Because I know Tesla gets their raw materials for batteries from sources that claim to not use slave labor. But how can you prove that? I mean, it's much easier to do if it's within the United States, I think. So getting back to tariffs, let me give you my history of tariffs. Okay, I'm 54 years young, going on 55 here pretty soon in February. And I grew up in the 70s and 80s. I remember I bought this really inexpensive Mazda pickup truck in 1986. At the time, it was like fully loaded. It was $7,000, I believe, was the total cost. And that was with a 25% tariff that the U.S. government had sanctioned onto any trucks anything that was considered a truck that was imported into the United States. And a lot of the reasons at the time, I think, for the Japanese trucks, I bought a Mazda built in Hiroshima, Japan. It's always kind of eerie that I thought maybe that truck would glow at night, because that's where, the U.S. dropped a nuclear bomb, and then they retooled, and they became one of the greatest, highest sought after automakers in the world. All the Japanese did, I'd say, because of their Kansai engineering and things in the 1980s, when everyone else in the United States was just had their pants down in the U.S. auto industry, it seemed like. And they just, at first they started saying they were Jap crap. By the end of the 80s, they had dominated. It was the vehicles that everybody wanted. So, but the thing is, a lot of folks there in the legislature around that time realized that these inexpensive trucks, and they were accusing Japan specifically of dumping them, meaning they were actually selling them in the United States at less than their cost in order to gain market share. And some folks may say, well, of course we have to put the tariffs on. And I did pay it. I mean, it would have been, I guess, $6,000, $5,500 truck without that tariff, which is still, even at $7,000, it was a bargain compared to what the United States was producing at the time in the quality. So, that was a thing, were these tariffs. And I mean, it didn't stop the Japanese from taking over, because they were just doing things, in a high quality way. And even if they were dumping, which I'm guessing maybe they probably were dumping their vehicles. Sorry, my hand was in there. I didn't realize my lens is picking it up over there, but it is. And even if they were dumping, they had such a good product, that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to gain market share. They didn't care if they lost money in the beginning, and the U.S. government said, hey, well, you're going to take all of our industry away, so we're going to put the tariff on you. And like I said, still, the Japanese have a pretty good reputation. Unfortunately, check out some of my other videos. They didn't innovate. They didn't get into battery electric vehicles like Tesla has, and I think they are screwed. I think Tesla has been doing to the Japanese what the Japanese have done or did do to the U.S. auto industry in the 1980s. They're doing it right now, whether you recognize it or not. It's a long process, but it's very, very rapid. It's long, but I guess rapid in a continuous way. These other folks are constantly losing market share. There's more Teslas coming in as I'm making this video. All right, so the thing is, you might say, oh, well, Mike, that's a bad policy. Of course we got to do tariffs, but nobody's dumping their stuff anymore. Well, dumping happens all the time, is the thing, okay? Think about how Amazon.com and Jeff Bezos rose to power. They were selling at a loss for many years. They were losing money every single year for a long, long time. Actually, Tesla was too in the beginning. And these are American companies. Now, Tesla is mostly selling products that are engineered and manufactured in the United States, over here, at least in the US. Although there are exceptions to that, such as the batteries from cattle, which are the lithium iron phosphate batteries, which is a new technology. Those are actually made in China. They need to start building those in the US. But the point is, with Amazon.com and Jeff Bezos, they dumped everything onto the traditional retailers. And I'm at a mall right now, actually charging, where it's all traditional retailers. There's no Amazon.com shop over here, although there are in some places, but they're really an online company. And they were actually incentivized by the U.S. government during that time. They were dumping, and they were incentivized. And you're like, well, how were they incentivized? Well, they were incentivized because at the time, until recently, a lot of people didn't recognize this. Well, you knew back in the day that whenever you bought something online, yeah, even if the price was the same, guess what? You didn't have to pay sales tax. And I think technically you had to fill out your forms at the end of the year to claim what you acquired in certain states, and you had to pay them directly. But I don't know how many people actually did that. But eventually they got rid of that early adopter incentive for not having to pay sales tax. They got rid of it. And nowadays you pay sales tax on your goods and services, I guess, just like you would anywhere else. So there's no advantage to going on the internet. But Jeff Bezos already did his thing. He gained the market share. He got what he wanted. Now, there's been a similar dynamic in the entire United States as a country, I'd say, recently. And this has nothing to do with our nonprofit, even though, I talked about pineapples, okay? This is real food. It's not food-like products. It's not causing disease in your body. But the problem is, it's not really conducive to grow this kind of stuff in the United States. Now, that's a big problem if it's dealing with your health, okay? A lot of these tropical fruits are just not, it can't really be grown outdoors. You can do indoor farming techniques and other stuff like that, but there's some questions as to whether, you know, it's the same product that you end up with because you're not growing it with the sun outdoors. A lot of questions on that. We're still investigating all that. But something like manufactured goods, okay, I mean, that's not the same. You do that anywhere. These are all made indoors for the most part, except when Tesla was building Model 3s in a tent outside of Fremont at one point. So this is something that, you know, all these goods that we're getting cheaply by outsourcing. Now, why do we outsource? A lot of this outsourcing started in the 70s, 80s, 90s, kept picking up. Auto industry, furniture industries, textile industries, other things, anything where you're building a physical thing or manufacturing a thing and you could ship it. And our shipping and logistics kept getting better and better. And so there was more incentive to do that. Also, as part of that equation, are the unions. They were running things for a while. It's like they had the upper hand, and in a lot of ways, the only way that some of these manufacturers could get out of the way of the unions was to go overseas where they don't have unions, and or things are so much cheaper. Either way, they come out, instead of, you know, losing such a giant percentage of their revenue to unions and all these benefits that they're demanding, they just go overseas. So there were a lot of things, and of course, there's that whole aspect of either slave labor or heavily discounted labor where you're not paying someone a living wage, and the cost of living is so much cheaper in other places like China. You hardly get to pay anybody anything. Combine that with logistics and, you know, the cost of shipping things overseas getting less and less and less. Then you have, there's a Tesla, he's going. Then you have that setup where we went through that period of time. And maybe I'm speaking historically now, because maybe this is not going to happen going forward. Maybe this is what we're seeing, the kind of turmoil I'm seeing in markets. When I say turmoil, I mean Tesla stock has popped, okay? That's for sure, in the last week. Bitcoin, the price of that has popped. Dogecoin, that's rocketing forward. I haven't even gotten to the money printing, the Fed, the outrageous cost of housing, but I'd say there's been a feeling over the last 10 years of the new American dream, and I've written about this in my book, Live to 150. Check out the nonprofit channel, plantbaseddiet.org, or live to150.org if you want to get that for free. But the new American dream is to leave this country for a lot of people. And the American dream itself is become so perverted in a way that is so messed up. It's not everybody can kind of get it, and you really don't want it anymore because it's so harmful to you and everything else around you, it seems like. And then people realize they can have their cake and eat it too and leave the United States, and everybody's saying they're going to do, half the country saying they're leaving the United States now after this election. Okay, I doubt it. But it has been a good time to leave the United States over the past 10 years. I will say that. There's no question about that. We've kind of alluded that we've got our own projects going in other countries with our nonprofit. Cost of living so much less, regulations less. You can find the food you want. You know, if you're getting stuff through the internet or whatnot, you can get that almost anywhere. And the quality of all goods has gone up because the fact that we've been producing them so long, shipping them worldwide. You know, we're just in a state now where you can kind of go anywhere as long as, you know, all of the things are equal. And the U.S. is kind of on the downward spiral, which they have been. Let me know if you agree with that or not, but I absolutely agree with that. It has been. I'm kind of wondering, why are we here? We got all these projects going on in other countries. Well, I don't think the U.S. is going to stay in this position forever, and I think that this election may have changed things. When I say the election changed things, I mean that I think that everyone involved in politics, both sides, has realized that the American people are just fed up with what's been going on and the direction we've been heading in. So what is going on now, and where are we going to go? Is it going to get better? Because as I pointed out with the food, I don't know. I mean, I love pineapples. Pineapples are a thing, you know. I would love to eat my food where it's grown outdoors all year round. That's a key thing. Now, indoor farming technologies and stuff like that. Here comes a Model 3. I don't know if they know where they're going. Well, you'll see them pull in here in a second. Anyway, well, all right, before I forget, Model Y is the best-selling car in the world, has been in a while, may even overtake the Ford F-Series for best-selling vehicle in the United States, which is amazing. And Tesla stock's been rocketing forward. Now, why? Why has Tesla stock been rocketing forward? As I pointed out, Tesla is, actually, I didn't mention this, the most American car company, okay? American cars, you want an American car, you buy a Tesla. It's kind of hard to believe, it's kind of hard for a lot of people to understand that, because all the coal rollers think that their big diesel trucks are the most American thing. Only thing is, then you realize that the Duramax diesels and the GMs are in a Suzu engine, and all kinds of other things going on with the source of the raw materials for that vehicle, and you realize it's not even close to an American vehicle when you compare that to a Tesla. So the thing is, Tesla's kind of figured out how to make money in manufacturing. Actually, I was kind of worried there for a while, and I made videos about this because I know that because they're so reliant on the United States, and the United States has been letting everybody's stuff come into the country untaxed, on tariffs, unsanctioned, whatever you want to say, especially the Chinese, they're going to start dumping their EVs on the United States. Well, even under Biden administration, they passed something where there's a 100% tariff on all Japanese electric vehicle imports, which means, yeah, higher cost for the consumer, but at what cost? Let's be real here, okay? If we're going to keep outsourcing everything and going to the lowest bidder and potentially using slave labor for all aspects of the different products and services and anything that comes over on a ship, really, what is that doing to the average human on this planet? And what is it turning us into as a country, except maybe just a bunch of users, like really, and I mean the worst term, the worst way, users. So you have to think about where the country is going, and Tesla is the most American vehicle manufacturer. They're the most innovative as well. They have the highest profit margins. And yeah, we don't want to destroy that, do we? Just so that a Joe or Jane over there can pay $5,000 less for their vehicle? No, I mean, Teslas are also the most safest vehicles on the road if you look at all the crash testing and performance, okay? It's not like you're gonna get an inferior product, because I know, okay, over the last few decades, you figure Detroit built or engineered is like an inferior product. And you're paying too much, and they're gonna break down, and they're not, they're not reliable. Okay, that's not the case with Tesla, all right? Yeah, they're not perfect. And yeah, like I said, they get these cattle lithium iron phosphate cells from China right now. They got to start building their own. United States needs to be building their own lithium iron phosphates, unless it's not the future. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just a stepping stone. Seems to be a lot better than just the regular lithium ion batteries that are in almost all other EVs. But anyway, they last longer. They are more stable, they are heavier, and they have less energy density. That's the thing. They're not perfect, okay? It's not like we have to move everything over to there. But anyway, for the long term, for the heavy user, it seems like a better option. All right, now let me find out some of the other things I was talking about, because I was talking about a lot of things in this video. All right, Tesla, tariffs, outsourcing, unions. Okay, we mentioned the unions. In a way, they did help some workers. Probably the laziest of all workers really got helped by unions. But anybody who has some initiative and motivation could probably do better working for a company without unions. And I'm talking about now in 2024, when I'm recording this live. Everybody can be broadcasting their whole life live. We all know what's going on, unless you're, I don't know, it would be a really extenuating circumstance where people would not know what's going on with somebody today with the connectivity of everything. All right, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, or the money printing and leaving the US. Okay, let's get to the money printing is the end all be all of this whole purpose of this video anyway. Because the money printing, and I've had conversations with people about this. Some people understand it, some people don't understand it. I've done videos on my Mike Young Real Estate channel about my plan for affordable housing in the United States. I even do a lot of social media. One of the groups that we have out in rural Virginia, I got a little bit of uproar in that group and saying that houses aren't affordable. Well, basically, those folks were offering some plans. I don't see how they're going to do anything positive for your average American, but I submitted my own plan, which I do believe would have an absolute immediate positive impact for the average American. And I'm talking American, I mean United States citizen, okay? A lot of the reasons why people have left the country is because you can go as a non-US citizen, you can buy property in other countries, and it's dirt cheap. Same thing here in the United States. It's been a desirable area, and all these people have come in, like the Chinese and others, and been buying up land and properties like crazy. And the average Joe and Jane first-time home buyer have to compete with them, including BlackRock too. Anybody buying to rent. So my plan is has three main functions, and we'll get to the money printing because it's one of the three. First thing is only sell land or buildings, real estate of any kind from this moment forward to U.S. citizens. Only U.S. citizens. Country of New Zealand has done this with great success to hold down costs for their citizens who have been there for generations so they can afford to live. Same with Canada. They also recently passed something. So that's very important. Must be a U.S. citizen. There must be correct processes to determine who is a U.S. citizen and make sure people aren't abusing that or slipping through the cracks. Should be easy enough, I would think. I would hope. Okay. All right. Next thing is no renting of residential homes, meaning detached houses, townhouses, condos. If it's zoned residential, I know zoning's a thing, and zoning could probably have some revamping. Zoning has made things expensive. Actually, one of my other videos on my real estate channel, I said get rid of zoning. That may actually really benefit too. Although in my most recent plan, I did not include getting rid of zoning, but that could be 2A. So first one is U.S. citizens only. Second one is no renting of residential properties. And then 2A would be get rid of zoning altogether. But still, the only zoning regulation that you have in place is no renting of properties, or at least that were formerly zoned as residential. I don't know how we'd handle that in the city of Houston because I don't think that they have any zoning at all, and that's an anomaly in the United States. But it's also one of the most affordable major cities there is, and that's why. It's because they don't have zoning. So, all right, that's important to know. When I say no, sorry, I got one of my hairs. I just got a haircut. When I say no renting, I mean that I don't know how it would be phased in because the devil's in the details. So I would think that at least no more new rentals, and then the ones that are existing for rent, I guess they could stay, be grandfathered in, like things are always grandfathered in, it seems like, but just no more new abuse going forward, okay? Because that's what it is. It's supply and demand, simple supply and demand on both of the two factors. Number one, U.S. citizens. Number two, you're competing with professional landlords and large corporations like BlackRock and others, and you just are not going to be able to win that, especially if they're going after the lower priced properties, which they are. And if you're a first-time home buyer in the U.S., oh man, start praying. That's all I gotta say. It is such a difficult environment to obtain a house that's affordable as a first-time home buyer, if not basically impossible, I'd say. It's bad. It's super bad. I've been a licensed realtor since 2006, so we're getting on close to 20 years now. My gosh. Oh my gosh. I was thinking 10. I was like, no, almost 20 years. I used to work with first-time home buyers. I feel like I don't anymore because they've given up. It seems like most of the people who are Gen Z or Gen Alpha, they're like, hey, I'm never going to be able to buy a house, not in my lifetime, not anytime soon. And it's really bad, really bad. Okay, let's get on to the thing that brings this video together, all the different topics, okay, including the Bitcoin, Dogecoin stuff, is the money printing. All right, the Fed and their ability and the politicians' use of it. Politicians don't want to get stuck with a bad economy. So they've been using this tool ever since 2007-8 when the real estate market crashed or was trying to recover, which was printing money and liquidity, injecting liquidity into the money supply. That's a nice way to say we are printing more money because we can print as much as we want because it's no longer attached to silver or gold like it used to be before 1970 or approximately that time frame. And because of that, we can just print it. And it's backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government, and we have never defaulted. So we're just going to keep printing more. But that's fine, I guess, except for the fact that it's supply and demand. When you have more cash circulating, the value of that cash is less and less the more you print. So basically, the value of all assets goes up. And yeah, cars are expensive, but not like fixed assets like land and buildings. My gosh, it seems like they've gone up exponentially in just in a few short recent years. And that's been good. It's always been known. Real estate's always been known as a good hedge against inflation. That's one of the number one reasons to recommend anyone buying real estate, just getting in the real estate, hedge against inflation. But inflation was never that bad until recently. And of course, I know, the reported numbers don't actually represent the actual inflation that's been going on, which has been significantly higher. So, man, I don't know what to tell you except that has to stop. And I know, at least correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think anybody in this election process has even brought that up. But if you put everything together that I've talked about here in this video, which is you're gonna make the United States hopefully a better, more desirable place to live, not making it seem like you can just and should go to another country because of our bad policies, but you're going to start, raising the cost of other things coming in, which means that you're more valuable here in this country. You're more valuable to stay in the United States. You're going to get paid more money. And yeah, it's going to cost a little bit more to live here, but it's more of a premium country. And it is. That's one of the things that has changed for the better, I suppose, that we went from a manufacturing-based economy to a service-based economy. It's much more of a premium type of a life. It unfortunately hurts your health in many ways because you're not moving much. And I'm sitting here. I wish I was walking around, but I'm not. I'm still waiting for Denise, and I just want to, I don't know, I'll use the restroom over here probably as soon as I finish the video, but outside of that, okay, that's what I think. I think that the U.S., I know a lot of people are the gloom and doom because their candidate lost at this point in time, but there's no perfect way to do this. But if the United States of America, is made into a more desirable place to live when compared with other countries, because that's what's happening. We are losing people right now and have been for the last 10 years. And this has been all over the internet if you look around a little bit. If you haven't seen it, it's because you're probably reading the traditional media and they're not really talking about it so much. Occasionally you hear about it, but they should have been talking about that a lot more. I think people are starting to wise up and realize what's been going on. We don't want to trash this whole country and make it seem like it's just a little short stop till you move on to the place that you really want to live, which is somewhere else, okay? That's the kind of vibe and dynamic I've been seeing out there. And from somebody like me who's a digital nomad, we've been traveling around. We see what's going on. So if the United States is made into a more of a premium place, when I say premium, I mean it's got to check off almost all the boxes. The U.S. is more of a higher level. Still got that reputation, right? Everyone wants to be like Americans for some reason. I'm not sure why. Definitely don't follow us in the diet category. It's horrible, okay? But if more boxes are checked off, like I said, I got my own. I got to figure out these pineapples. How are we going to do all of that? I don't know. We have to figure this out. It's not going to be a well-rounded country if everything else is great, except that the health of everyone who lives here still is on some of the lower tiers, even though we pay more than anybody else in the world. That's not good value for the money. Well, there's been other things economically that have been not good value for the money either. And I'm talking about the cost of real estate. So that's the thing. Even if the prices of your stuff goes up, okay? Let's say your stuff. And Tesla, hey, this is an incredible American company. I don't think that Teslas are that expensive anymore. Look at the price of a new car. Look at Model 3, which is right next to me. I don't know what they're going for, but I think you can get a base Model 3 for less than the price of the average car that's new in the United States. So still, you're not paying that much. You're not paying a premium, not really. And it's a safe car. Safety should be number one, okay? When I say safe, I mean crash protection, collision protection, rollover protection. That's another one. Those big trucks roll over. The little jerk of the wheel, you've rolled that thing over. It's got such a high center of gravity. Not these Teslas. Super low, 50-50 weight distribution, incredible in crashes. So the thing is, the real estate, yeah, you've been paying a premium in recent years because the real estate's gotten so expensive. But with some of these policies, I would hope that, especially the money printing, I know they're not really coming out and saying it, but they gotta put laws, limits on money printing, okay? It needs to stop happening, because in case you're newer generation, like millennial, I think we saw it in Gen X, but nobody in millennial ever knew this, or Gen Z or Gen Alpha, that it used to be that your cash or your coins could be redeemed for silver, or were made as silver if they were coins, or gold. But that was repealed, and it used to be, so that we used to have actual reserves for our cash circulation, our currency, which is the world standard, apparently still is. I don't know how or why, but that's gone now. You can't exchange it for anything. It's only good for like this Tesla here. If it costs 35,000 of your dollar bills, then that's what you can get for it. They're not going to give you, I guess you paid the market price of gold and silver at the time, but they will not exchange it. The US government will not exchange it for that hard asset like they used to be. It used to be asset backed. Now it's not. Now it's faith and credit, full faith and credit of the US government backed. And you know, the problem is that both sides are constantly lying. They're just trying to get elected. And I know a lot of this is a grassroots effort. A lot of the health stuff is too. But I guess I am somewhat optimistic. I'm always an optimist. But I'm more optimistic when I see stuff like Bitcoin going up and Dogecoin going up, because it's basically an alarm that's going off saying, hey, your fiat currency has some problems. We're shifting all of our stuff over here because we don't trust you anymore. And maybe, I don't know, maybe that's a predictor of some things that are about to happen here in the US economy that aren't being said. It could be. Now Tesla, like I said, you look at Tesla, it's not just, Tesla checks off so many boxes that are good about the United States of America. I'm glad to see it continue to go up. It hasn't really gone up in value actually since the year 2000, almost 5 years now, 4.5 years. It really hasn't. If you look at the number, the trending over time has been up, down, but at that same level. It hasn't really gone up in value, but maybe it will. Maybe it will because it'll become apparent, and maybe it is becoming apparent right now that the US government wants to see companies like this succeed in the United States. We don't want to hand our money over to the lowest bidder in China or Korea or wherever else they may be, just so Joe and Jane can save $5,000 on their brand new vehicle. You know, and again, like I said, it's not like they're getting a premium, better product. They're getting an inferior product for less money. There goes the Cybertruck. That's weird. It's blacked out with blue. You see those stripes? I don't know. Anyway, Cybertrucks still gather so much attention, and I have a feeling that Denise has probably been calling me. It's 1:12. That means she's going to be done. Oh, yeah, she's texting me right now. I see. Yes, we do have somebody there. Okay. So all right, let's see if I checked off all the boxes. Tesla, tariffs, outsourcing. Yeah, we got to stop outsourcing, okay? That's the thing. You can't outsource the plumbers and the electricians, or unless you bring over people who are not US citizens. That's a whole other story. But maybe the whole idea is, let's stop outsourcing. Can't we get, aren't Americans hardworking? Don't they want to work hard? I mean, look, Tesla's an American company, okay? It does outsource a little, but to the minimum, okay? To the minimum required amount. If you value this country, I'd say, if you outsource and you shift all the wealth over to somewhere else, then everyone's just going to want to leave this country and follow where that is, which will be the next United States. And I know a lot of people have thought that's China, but maybe sentiment like that will shift, because I've kind of questioned that myself. If China is the next, world superpower, maybe. It's happening now. This is gonna be stopped, and the United States is gonna take back what it had been giving away for the last 10 to 20 years, or more, really, almost 30 years. When you talk about the 90s and NAFTA, that's where it all started, I think. Money printing, leaving the USA. I think that's all I got. No reason to belabor this point. Let me know your comments down below. Again, I don't get into politics. This is not really political. Because as I said in the beginning of this video, I want to reiterate, there's no truth in politics. It's all about getting elected. It's all about the next election. But it is nice to see that the politicians are recognizing some cracks in the system, some things that your average Joe and Jane here, US citizen, is recognizing and wants to feel good about their country, wants to stay in their country, wants to think that their country is the best place in the world to be. But, we have let so many things slide in the name of penny pinching. That's what it seems like. I know people have accused me sometimes of trying to be too concerned about not spending too much money, whatever, but no, I know many people that are way worse than that. But the thing is, what's even worse than that on a personal level is we've been doing that on a societal level, okay? That's the thing. We've been selling out our own desirability of our own place that we're living just to save a few bucks, and it doesn't make sense. You have to do a cost-benefit analysis. That's kind of what this video has been. A cost-benefit analysis of the way we have been running things here in the United States and the way they're going to be run. And I am hopeful. That's all I got to say. I am hopeful that things are going to continue to get better. Really, I mean, yeah, I think that the politicians are realizing what it's going to take to get elected at the next election, and you know what it's going to be? It's going to be results. It's going to be positive results. That's what's going to have to be shown from now on. And as I've pointed out, money printing only provides negative results. It does not provide positive results. The only thing it does is prevent the entire economy from imploding and going into complete bankruptcy as a country. That's the only thing it does. It does not provide any positive benefits. So maybe we'll enact some of my housing plan. I don't know. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Give us a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video as soon as I figure out how to turn this thing off. There it is.